The other thing you can do is setting off where people muted coming in
I did.
and have them call again.
I took it off and he got off and.
Jim, I think we're having technical difficulties.
Again,
Can we just proceed?
is Joe not coming in? Well, we're gonna have to,
I think you can take the other agenda items out of order. You can make, someone can make a motion to take the
All right.
other agenda items.
this is the Adams Conservation Commission meeting on August 20th, 2020. It is 6:40. And we're going, and our first order is
Well, I'd like to make a motion, Jim, that we change the order.
yes,
And the first one will be the old business, 380 West Road update, track activity. And if we can discuss that first.
okay, let's go with change the order. Do I hear all in favor of changing the order?
Tom Robinson's on, right?
Aye.
Okay, good.
Good. Okay, is West Road, the update on that, they've tarred the driveway and they're leaving part of their lawn to attract the monarch butterflies, and the rest of their lawn they've mowed according to the wishes. They can't do that, so I'm just telling you that everything, they're right, just about ready to plant for the septic system. The septic system is in, they're just covering over. So they've got the driveway tarred within their boundary line, and they're continuing on according to the wishes of the commission.
What is this, notice regarding a homemade track on their property?
That is the other issue. That's, what number was it?
380 West Road.
That's the second issue.
Yeah,
And there's a guy that has a homemade track on his land, and part of it goes close to the Inamina stream going near his property. We were notified that by the forest ranger, state police, and we've talked to the man. It does say the name, doesn't it?
Tyler Dadak and Jordan Blackwoods.
Right. And they are in the midst of making a request for determination.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they just haven't made it up yet. So they're doing it right.
All right.
So we're just telling them that the noise factor is, when the state police got involved, the noise factor would be an issue at this point. And so we hope by the next time they'll have a request for determination.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
The last one is,
We got what's going on at 4 Burlingame Hill
right,
with Leo Curtin's property. Once again. I drove by there and saw it. Did you?
why don't David, you say what you saw?
Yeah, I saw where he dug up an area right next to that small pond.
Yeah.
And it's obviously within the 100-foot buffer of the pond.
And he has
And exposed soil right now. Sure. The area is about probably twice the size of this room.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, it was pretty,
Twice the size.
pretty wild, and from what I was told from neighbors, the fellow that lives next door is doing his part to help out on the other side of it, on his side of the property.
Help out in what sense?
No, he's doing some work there too.
That's
So we
Brandon.
want to take a look at that Brandon.
Our Brandon's property.
I was told by Pam, since we did not get it into the agenda, that we should not discuss it tonight,
Oh,
but continue it till next time and probably be part of an enforcement order itself.
okay,
All right?
sounds good.
We'll mention that was seen, and we'll talk. If they both are, then they both are going to.
Is the enforcement order going to be in effect before the next meeting, though, or?
They've done with it. They've already done what they wanted to do. So we don't need to do a cease and desist at this point.
For crying out loud, what the
Joe, easy, Joe.
Joe, we can hear you now.
Are you all set, Joe?
He called in.
That was Tom, I think.
No, that was Joe.
Oh,
Oh, that wasn't me.
He called in and we could hear him, and then he, called out again. And now he's on mute again.
Okay, let's go while Joe's, we're not gonna talk about the Burlingame Hill because he's not on the agenda,
okay,
okay?
yep.
How about the National Grid?
Well, Joe's on the phone now, so we might as well take it up.
Joe's on the phone. He's still muted.
Oh,
Joe, we can see that you're there. If you can hear us, we can hear you for 1 second, then you disappeared. Can you try to hit on your phone the star button and then the number 6? And then hopefully we'll be able to hear you again.
oh, okay, in case when he comes back, what is this other, the mail, National Grid Utility Maintenance work? That's just a notice to us, Jim,
Yeah, it's just a notice.
that they're gonna be doing work, and they have a biologist on board to take care of it?
Yeah, they've already come in front of us. They're just notifying us they're now gonna be on site.
All right.
Can you hear me?
should be able to unmute.
Are we all set?
Everybody should be able to unmute themselves, and can everybody hear us?
Yes.
I can hear.
Yes.
Okay, we still don't have Joe.
We still don't have Joe.
He might be on his way down here. He knows that we're in person.
He should tell us.
If you call him, my phone is on 17% power, so I'm gonna die.
I'll call
But if you call him directly,
him. Let me call him. 413-743, or no, I don't know if it's 743.
743
Yep.
1843.
That's his home number, I thought.
It is.
That's not his, cell number.
Yes.
That's what you.
I remember that number from when I was a kid. This guy grew up with.
Hello?
Joe.
Yeah,
Hey, this is Dave Opinski. We're sitting down here at the Conservation Commission.
yeah, well, I've tried a million times, it says the host unmuted, and the host isn't unmuting me.
Okay, let's go with this.
Well, let's go with this. We don't have any, backlash or anything.
Yeah,
So I'm just gonna keep you on my phone. We can hear you very well.
okay, then I appreciate it, because
Yeah,
it would really start to pester me.
I don't blame you.
Put the phone down right there. This will broadcast it into the, Zoom system. And that'll pick you up, David, and then this will pick up Ryan and.
I think we got it figured out, Joe.
Okay, yeah, I don't know, I just got frustrated. I've done this before, and it said that the host has muted me, and I can't talk, or I can't talk or listen until the host unmutes me.
It's okay, we can hear you loud and clear now.
Okay, well, I'm glad that I'm on, because I didn't know what to do.
All right, Coach is gonna start.
Yeah, may I ask a question first? Who is there, please?
Myself, Coach, Brian Bishop, and Jay, and Becky, and on the speaker is Bill Luttrell, Tom
Yeah.
Robinson, and Christine Hoyt.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Joe, we're gonna start, our meeting by asking you a couple of questions and having you answer them. First of all, the indication, when you were doing this project, you did this as an individual, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you are representing Melanie
Galasnik.
Galasnik?
No, I'm not representing anybody. I was told originally by you, Jim, that was town property. And then after, I guess, you looked better into it, you found it was privately owned by Melanie.
Okay, we'll continue on then. Joe, we have a couple things that were done, wrong, and we'd like to undo them tonight. First thing that I want to do is make a motion that we rescind the cease and desist order that we put on you. You have any feelings about that, Joe?
No, I don't. And the first thing that I want to do, and I did it publicly on a televised selections meeting, is to apologize. I think I was overzealous. I was right out in the open, and I was doing that for many, many hours without anybody saying anything. So I want to apologize, which I have done before, to both the Conservation Commission and, well, the people of Adams aren't listening like they do at a selections meeting. So you can continue. I just wanted to make that known, Jim.
Okay. Tom, you have any comments to make before we can start about what should be done?
No, I have no comments.
Okay, Bill Luttrell, do you have any comments to be made, what should be done now that we have an indication that Joe indicated what he did and what he wants to do?
Sure. So the situation now, I believe, is, and it addressed Tom's initial concern, and because the commission.
Excuse me, Bill, I can't hear you. You sound very garbled.
Let's see if I can turn this up. Can you hear me now?
I can't make out what you're saying. I'm hearing some garble, but I can't understand, Bill, what you are saying.
Try
Yes.
it again, Bill.
I can hear you good, Jim, when you talk.
Yeah, well, you're gonna be able to hear, but we moved the phones. So,
We'll be all set now, Joe.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
good.
So the initial concern by the commission, and Tom is the one that really pointed it out, was the necessity of stabilizing the site. And I believe, I haven't been back there, but I've been told by Chairman Fossil that, that you seeded the area and that the seed mix is already growing. So that's good. So the next step is really watching that between now and when it gets cold to make sure that the grass seed mix continues to grow. And then let it rest over the winter. It shouldn't be mown, so just so you know that. It's a restoration area, so it shouldn't be treated like a lawn. And as it grows up, it'll help stabilize it more. The roots will become more interconnected, which is the whole objective here, is forming really a web of roots to stabilize the soil. Then the next step will be that we'll have to continue on with the restoration in terms of planting some wildlife habitat, because there were trees there. I don't think putting trees back is necessary unless the commission thinks it's so. What I'm thinking, and I've talked this over with Jim, is putting in 12 to 15 native shrubs that will produce wildlife habitat, fruit-bearing shrubs. And I'm thinking things like high bush blueberry, cornusumomum, which is silky dogwood, huckleberry. I can produce a list of the things that can be put in. 4 to 6 foot species are not expensive in the potted. So for instance, if they were bought from New England Wetland Plants, which is in Amherst, right now the pricing is around $16 a piece, so that's relatively inexpensive. But the idea is to at least go through the steps to begin allowing that to return to a native habitat without invasive species. So I would also suggest that at least manually we try to keep control over the Japanese knotweed and keep that back until everything else is growing well. Someone talking?
Yeah, you're all set.
There's somebody in the background talking. Okay. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
It's coming from the speakerphone.
Okay. So anyways.
It might be my television. I don't have it up loud, but I'll turn it off.
That's it.
I just did it. Is that different?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
So anyways, if the commission thinks it's necessary to plant trees, they go in as saplings, and I'd use something that grew relatively quickly, like cottonwood or red maple. And just a couple of those would be adequate.
I think it's gonna replant itself, tree-wise. I think that the shrubs is a good idea.
Right, I think that, I think by the visual, looking at the rest of the members, that the idea of having blueberry bushes and other kinds of fruit-bearing bushes will be effective enough without going into maple trees and elm trees and things like that. which may or may not grow, and maybe you have to wait for all of us to be gone before you.
I was just wondering, I have a few comments and concerns. I don't mind doing this because regardless, I made an early mistake by not doing a permit, but I want to say that I'm proud of what I did, and I'm not sorry for what I did other than not getting a permit. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm sure all of you are aware of the noxious weed, knotweed, and how it's affecting everything, riparian zones, everywhere that it grows. And what I'd like to say also is that now this is Melanie Glenzik's land. Now, does she have to okay this blueberry stuff? And I'll buy it myself. I have no problem with that.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
And you.
Okay, so how would that work? I would approach her and ask her if that would be amendable to her.
Yes.
And would she have to do the notice of intent since it's her property, or could I do it with a letter from her stating that I'm doing the work? I don't know how that is because I never came across that when I was on the commission.
Since this is an enforcement order, Joe, we'll do it under the enforcement order. If you were to go back in and deal with the bank and other things in the future, then you would have to go to her and represent her with a formal NOI. But since this is an enforcement order, this work will be covered by that enforcement order. Okay?
Okay, and another thing too, if I heard Bill correctly, he said that there was trees taken down. There were no trees at all taken down on that part. The only thing I did was, for aesthetics, was to up branches that were bearing weight, that were heavy. It's quite obvious. I don't know how many of you have seen what we've been talking about, but it's quite obvious, and Bill can attest to this. Japanese knotweed is a mono strain. So once it gets going, it canopies everything. So therefore, when I cut down the shoots, there was just bare ground because nothing can grow under that canopy. And another thing about Japanese knotweed is it doesn't have a root system, and that is what's a big problem with erosionary problems, because this knotweed doesn't hold back bankings like a tree. You can readily see it if you come up and see where there's 3 trees and you look down there, and you can see how the root system has a claw holding in the banking, and you can see it across the stream where all the trees are. So in short, I'm going to do whatever you want me to do. I'll be happy to do it. But, I don't know. I'm just a little bit concerned about pricing of all this stuff. I'm not overly, I don't have all that much money, but I'm going to do it because I made the mistake. So you tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it.
Very good. And that's what we plan on doing tonight. Our biggest issue is to get you to put things on paper and to do it according to the regs that are here. We're going to worry about the future when it comes. We just want to correct the present so that we can walk around town and say we haven't done anything bad to the area, and if we do try to make it better, we're going to go through the request for determination or the NOI as needed.
Oh, yep, that sounds fair. And once again, I will do it, but to repair, I don't think I did anything to destroy personally, other than not do a permit. I didn't destroy anything. I think I fixed an ecological part that was needed to do, and it should be done anywhere where it can be. It was labor intensive. It took me over 200 hours to complete it, and I'm happy what I did, and I've seen 2 children in there every day, and it reminded me when I was young, because that was my playground, and they're in there with little nets catching minnows. I go over and make sure they don't have any trout. They saw a crayfish, and I haven't seen one, so, you know, I don't think I wrecked anything. I think, personally, I improved it. But that's only my thought. I certainly didn't tear down a habitat that had any value whatsoever. And, you know, it's quite obvious if you read about knotweed, it takes down the price of people's homes if it's within the area. It's a battle to get it. It's called Godzilla weed. It's got lateral shoots that come from the main stem, and they continue the rhizomes, and as they spread out, they pop up along the way. So if I didn't dig all of them out, then they come back. People think you can just cut them, but that almost makes them stronger, want to grow more. You can see it. A good example, and I won't go on and try to give a lesson because I know Bill and others are more schooled perhaps than I, but go down near the Dollar General. I mean, it's not a wet area, but there was a patch there, so the landscaper came in and he cut it, and within 3 days they were up again, and I noticed on my morning walk he cut it again, and that just brings it up. So in short, I don't want to be said by that I disturbed or destroyed a habitat. I think I built an ecosystem which is more advantageous for the river and the riparian zone, because that knotweed, the bamboo stalks get into the water, they cause water stoppage, and so I'm sorry wholeheartedly for not having gotten a permit, but I deep down inside am not sorry for what that I did. And anyone who hasn't seen what I've done, I wish that you would come up and see it. And not to boast, I've had at least, and this is no exaggeration, 50 people stop and say, boy, you did a hell of a job. It looks so nice. And that makes me proud. And that's all I'm going to do and say for the rest of the time. And whatever the commission, because I've dear to my heart conservation. I mean, I'm educated in it. I've got a master's degree in environmental science, so I know what it's all about, and I wouldn't have done anything that I thought would have been a bad disturbance. And I have to also say that Mark Stenson called me. He's the regional DEP person. We had a nice chat. It got to him, and he wanted things to be handled with the Conservation Commission, and I admitted I made a mistake. And so I brought it right out, and I'm going to continue to bring it out should that be the case, that I did make a mistake. I didn't file a permit.
Well, we're gonna, Joe, we're gonna, if you can, let's move on.
Okay.
Okay, and so, Bill?
Yeah, let me summarize so everyone's clear. The first step's been done. We've stabilized the area with a grass seed mix. Step 2 will be to plant, and I'll send a list along of shrubs next spring. And also ongoing, we need to control the knotweed, but we can't do it with herbicides unless someone has a license. So it's going to have to be, you're going to have to continue to just control it the best you can by cutting it.
Okay.
So can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
It's an annual seed that we put down grass-wise, correct?
Yeah, it was annual. Bill wanted me to get, annual rye. I called everybody and all they had were perennial rye. So I contacted, Jim and told him that I went to R.I. Baker's and I got some, I don't know, commercial mix, I think it's called. It's quick growing. 20% of it will come back supposedly in the spring, but the rest will not. And I really wish my initial planning of grass would have been what you're going to recommend in the future, because that's going to be another cost on my part.
That was my question. That was my question to Bill. The bushes alone are not gonna cut it, because if there's die-off, then we're gonna have.
Yeah, that's correct. The reason we couldn't use the wetland seed mix this time of year, Joe, is the time of year for planting. The idea was to stabilize it immediately. That type of mix in now, it just would fail. 20% doesn't mean it'll have 20% aerial coverage. It means it's 20% of the mix. You could end up with close to 100%.
Right. Little patches, probably.
So the way I would handle it is, because I'm sure I'll be out there again in the spring anyway. We'll look at it again in the spring. If it needs to be reseeded, I will get you some seed mix to put down, and it'll be a native seed mix, and it'll be I can probably get it for nothing, so I'll just donate it.
Well, that would be much appreciated. Once again, I said I'd stop, but is this mix that I'll put in the spring, is that deep rooted? Because I think that would be quite advantageous to stopping, because it'd be a fight with the knotweed, you know, and if I continue to maybe cut them, I just think that perhaps they might give up. Is that an assumption of any kind? Because I know that people that do this for a living, and there are companies that go and exclusively do that, and every one of them had used Roundup, of course, not close to a river, and I did use Roundup, and I brought that out, but I only did it on the plateau. I didn't do anything near the water. You could see where I hand dug them. Right. But I don't think if I pulled, this is for Bill, if I pulled all of the roots out, which I did, and I tried to get as much as the rhizomes as I could, if I got the main stalk out, will other stalks start to grow? Or if I continue to cut it, will that suffice to maybe stop that from happening? Because it's popping up everywhere now. Yeah,
I mean, it's almost impossible to get by pulling it. And cutting it will work, but it has to be done consistently over 5 years.
Okay.
So in other words, what you're doing, you're by cutting the plant consistently, you're going to starve the roots.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Okay, thanks, Bill.
And so, yeah, and the seed mix that I'll get will have deep-rooted species like aster and goldenrods in it.
Good.
Okay, so we're at the point where we're gonna wrap this up. You're going to, the cease and desist is over with. Bill has made an order of what should be done now and in the future, and we'll write that up and send the notes to you. And
okay.
We'll be getting back when those notes are copied down.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And once again, my apologies for not doing that. I should have known better. But as I mentioned, I'm a person that's goal driven. I started it, and I was right out in the open, and after, so much time there, no one said anything, and I think some of the people on the commission even drove by seeing me do it, and no one said anything, but it was my mistake. I apologize, and thank you very much for helping me along with this. I appreciate it greatly.
Very good. Okay, with that, I need a motion to follow through with Bill Luttrell's recommendation.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, any discussion?
What time will we hear from Tom?
Tom?
I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm good.
Okay,
Just one point, we're gonna sign this enforcement order
we're
tonight,
gonna
right?
sign it right here.
Okay, good.
So we're gonna sign the enforcement order before we leave, and we have it in front of us. All in favor of the enforcement order being amended as it was stated by Bill Luttrell, and where the cease and desist was lifted. All in favor, say aye. All against, say no.
Aye.
So,
Hey, as everyone knows, I mean, Christine and Jay are there. Jimmy, you gotta ask each person individually.
You're not part of the,
No, I'm only teasing. The last question I have is it all right if I go over there and continue to snip them as they come up?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I want to keep on it, because that's the only way that I think, as Bill mentioned, is you got to stay persistent with that stuff. So as long as I know I can do that, I'm going to do it every day, and every time I see one come up, I'm going to get it.
good. And again, we did, the cease and desist has been lifted, so that,
Okay.
that no.
Well, I thank you very much, and you can be assured that if anything I need to do, I'll get a notice of intent or whatever you need, because I certainly won't let this happen again.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and my MCI bill is going to be through the roof again because of these Zoom calls. Okay, thank you, everyone, and everybody stay well, and God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay,
Bill, thank you very much.
my pleasure.
We'll get in touch.
Yes.
You weathered the storm.
Well, if that's the worst storm I have today, I'm all set.
Yeah, Bill had a tornado 400 feet above his property.
Bill, this is Jay Green, the town administrator. Can you please email me your exact wishes, because this commission needs to communicate with the property owner exactly what the enforcement order says. And then the enforcement order should say exactly what the intent is and what it allows Joe to do, because this won't go away unless we're able to exactly communicate what these conditions are. So that's why I'm here. I just want to be sure that everyone's on the page, because we'll continue to get complaints that he's in that area, and I want to be able to give somebody a piece of paper that says he is permitted to be in there doing this.
So
I
what
just
is
want
it?
to be sure we're all on the same page.
Email you, sir?
So Bill, if you can email that, if you know Donna, you can email it to Donna, she'll get it to me. We'll make sure it's on Conservation Commission letterhead. That way there, Melanie, the property owner, has it officially. It's fine that Joe will go over, but let the communication come from the official sanctioning body.
Okay, so what I'll do is I was planning on doing email to the commission anyway, and I'll copy you.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll get your address from PM or somebody.
Yeah,
and then that will, just so you know what I'm emailing, and then if you want anything else, you can ask me.
that's
I'm planning on saying what the procedure is, the various steps, and
Great.
when they're to occur.
Beautiful. Yep,
Okay.
and in the timeline, because it's obviously not anything that can be rectified in a few months. This is going to go into spring.
Oh, no, this takes years.
Yep.
Notice that no herbicides are allowed.
Yeah, well, and you can't, only a licensed person can put them on someone else's property or on public property. You have to have a license to do that.
So
That's why I wanted to be clear that from this point forward, there should.
Also don't want him doing other things, other than what is in the enforcement, because he's building stone walls in the brook and he's doing all this other
Well,
stuff.
we'll just say you can't.
That's all gotta be delineated.
I would put all that in the enforcement order.
I mean,
Yes.
right, because all we want him to do is what he is being told to do,
Yep.
okay?
Bill, can we talk about not doing work in the brook?
Okay. I will.
So,
Yeah, and it'll appear as a series of recommendations because I have no official say in the town of Adams. And then the commission's already agreed to that tonight, agreed to what I presented, so.
I'd like to amend our acceptance to the,
Thank you, Bill.
to the,
Motion.
to the
That was-
motion
that was
about
approved.
the enforcement order, that we add work in the brook,
Yeah, the no work is allowed in the brook, period.
right, at this point.
And also, nothing other than what is on our enforcement order.
Right, the shrubs.
Can I suggest something?
Sure,
So I think the way it should read, because the brook is not a resource area, the resource areas would be the bank or the land under a waterway. So it should read, there should be no work on the bank or the land under the waterway.
There you go,
So-
perfect.
That's great.
so amended.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Tom?
Okay, thank you. Hey, I'm glad this is all working out. You take it easy.
All
Yeah,
right, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
We still have to get,
Tom, thank you very much.
we still have to get Tom's signature to make it a quorum, right?
Okay. We're all done.
Okay?
We need Tom's signature on the enforcement order.
Right.
How's that procedure work? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm new to this Zoom business, but there must be other boards that have done this. When a document requires my signature and I approve the fact that what we've done is correct and I agree with it, how do we go about putting that signature on the document?
I'll come up and you sign it.
Or is there a possibility that somebody signs on my behalf, providing that I agree to it?
Yeah, it should be allowed. We can sign it.
All right.
That-
You know, it goes in the minutes. It goes in the
That's
minutes.
perfectly fine with me. I'm just making the suggestion because this whole procedure is new to me. And I would imagine that other boards are finding the same situation. Fortunately, Jim's able to hunt me down and I'm able to communicate with him.
I
But-
know where you live in Windsor.
But,
Tom, I
it's
know
on
where you
record.
live in Windsor.
It's on record.
You'll hunt me down like a dog.
Okay,
You
we'll,
want to forge? Go ahead.
So Tom, I'm gonna sign your name on this document. This is the enforcement order. Is that okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
How do you sign it? Thomas Robinson?
Yes,
Thomas Robinson?
correct.
All right.
Also, for the record, town hall is just closed to the general public. So like, if we were open tomorrow, and this wasn't imperative, Tom, you could come in and sign it, just call Pam. She'll let you in, sign, come in and sign. That's not a problem at all.
Fabulous. Just learning the procedure, that's all.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
no, it's a pain in the arse. We all can't wait until it's done. But there's no problem. It's easy to do it this way, but if we weren't in a rush, you were welcome to come in tomorrow. There's been other board members that have come in to sign things. Just a matter of coming in, wear a mask, sign in, let Pam know you're coming. Not a big deal.
It means you had some health worries too, though.
okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that-
we've already done all the other businesses
Yes.
and
We have other things to sign, I think, Jim, don't we?
No, because we can't do Leo curtains right now. It's gonna be in the
Okay.
next meeting.
Okay. So I remember it was Pam that brought up.
I know.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
Okay, we're good then.
And I have a motion to adjourn.
Tom, make that motion.
I'll second. Make the motion to adjourn.
All right, I'll second it.
Thank you.
All right, Tom, thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
First round of drinks are on me.
Can we have a Zoom meeting for the motion?